9:06 a.m. and thank you for your attendance. We'll move on. We don't have any apologies, so we'll move on to the business. 3.1, adoption of corporate plan. Do we have a mover?
You have to tell him.
Yeah, I'll move, Mr Mayor.
He won't see you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'd like to move the council adopts the 2023 to 28 corporate plan subject to amendments.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to be seconder.
Righto.
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Just what this has only just been put on our desk this morning. I know we went through it yesterday, but I haven't had time to read the final version because it's just been on our desk. So I'm just wondering two things. Once we adopt this today, Madam CEO, can we do changes to it?
Through the chair, yes, you can.
Yep, so it's not done and dusted. And
Today is about the adoption. The recommendation as it's presented is to adopt it. Not adopt a draft, it's to adopt the plan. But yes, you can make amendments as you go along. There is a process for that, either through the quarterly reviews. However, we would be suggesting if there is feedback in the next month or so, that's taken on board.
okay, just because of the timing,
Sure.
we haven't been able to read the final version of this. And because of that too, when we left last night, the Mitchell Weir was going to be put in here somewhere. Where was it put in?
I thought we left it broad to...
I suggested we leave it broad.
Yeah.
Yep.
We didn't end up doing it as a separate item because it was... We didn't want to have individual ones and leave out some.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify that because I heard consultant Jen say to the minute taker that don't forget tonight we need to put the Mitchell Weir in somewhere. And so that's
Well, when we spoke about it, I think Councillor Guthrie said that not to have them individually because we could be closing the door on a lot of others, so we kept it broad like we did on the other subjects.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to do that. I want to make sure that that's what's been captured in here and that it hasn't been put in here late last night.
Through the chair, I think from memory the discussion was around the integrated sport and rec plan, so I'm just having a look for that just to...
We did talk about putting it somewhere in the economic development part too because of the potential for irrigation and selling the sand.
Sand.
So through the chair, do you want to add something in there?
No, I just want to know whether it is in here. Here it
Yes,
is.
through the
I
chair,
found it.
page 1. Yep. The
there is
investigate circular economy projects, e.g. sand from Mitchell Weir.
So it is under prosperity.
That's correct.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages in. Councillors.
In relation to your copy...
Oh, example sand.
Example, Sam from Mitchell Weir. So that works. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm done with my questions, Mr Mayor.
righto. Okay, if there's no...
I've got a question.
please go ahead. Councillor O'Neill
Will I go?
and then Taylor. Yeah, Councillor O'Neill and then Taylor.
What is the absolute last date that the corporate plan has to be adopted?
Look, through the chair, in order for us to adopt our budget, we need to adopt the corporate plan. So, in essence, as Councillor Burkett has said today, Council has up until the 1st of August to adopt its budget in any 1 year.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. So my question is, where it says subject to amendments, do those amendments come back to council?
Through the chair, if you have no amendments today, we can adjust this recommendation to reflect that Council adopt the 23-28 corporate plan as presented.
Okay. But it just says subject to amendments, so what...
Look, just through the chair, when we wrote the report, we didn't know whether there would be amendments on the floor. So if you don't want to amend it any further, then my recommendation would be just to adjust your resolution.
Change it to as
You're
presented.
happy with that?
I can, through the chair, I can change that to that recommendation if you like.
Okay, is that,
Presented.
yeah, as presented? Is the seconder
Yeah.
happy
Second
with
is
that?
happy with that.
Righto. Okay, so does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to congratulate the staff and also the consultants we had that run this process. I think we went through, had good feedback from all the community, and we went around to each area, and it was great to see the feedback from the floor and also stuff that was done online. So I once again congratulate the staff. I thought it was, and yesterday was a great day. It's not very often you can spend a whole day in council and go home with a smile on your face, and I thought yesterday was one of those days. Yes, well, I got a lot out of it, and I think that's where I liked that stuff, feedback back and forth across the room. I think that's and you can make it a bit light of it too. So I think we got some really good feedback yesterday. So just well done to everyone.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Anyone wish to speak for the motion?
I do, Mr
I'll
Mayor.
speak for it.
Please go ahead, Councillor Guthrie.
I'd just like to second everything that Councillor Burkett just said. I think there was a very, very effective and true consultation undertaken with everybody, and once again, heavy staff involvement. But I also want to commend the group, Rowland, who facilitated the process, because I think that it was done very, very professionally, and I'm very, very optimistic that the corporate plan that's under consideration for this particular agenda item has been a well put together document. I think it augurs well for the next 5 years.
Okay, does someone else wish to speak for the motion?
I will.
Yeah. Oh, Mark.
Okay, who was first there?
Councillor Edwards.
Councillor Edwards, please go ahead, and then Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, just briefly, thanks to everyone for all the hard work and everything like that. It was a good day yesterday. Certainly back up what Councillors Burkett and Guthrie just said. And the thing that stood out for me was, without going into too much detail, we had a full room. It was a situation of people working together, which is something that I want, myself personally wanted to see when I originally got into council, and it was just great to see everyone getting together, and with the outcome of enhancing the the Maranoa for the benefit of the community. So yeah, really, really good. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hancock.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I am going to support the corporate plan for 2023-2028 to 2028. I do want to thank the staff for all their hard work that they have put into developing the corporate plan. From my point of view as a councillor, I'm supporting this because I was able to go to all the community meetings that we had at every town, and so I heard directly from the community what they wanted our focus to be for our corporate plan going ahead. I probably would have appreciated a little more input into the development of the corporate plan because it seemed very rushed, us only finishing the draft last night. We actually haven't even had the opportunity to read the final result that we're actually putting forward today. That concerns me a little bit because I like to be able to have time to do my due diligence as a councillor and to make sure that I'm comfortable with that. I just think that the fact that we were brought in yesterday was the first opportunity that we really had time to be able to put our input into it. It was a really good day. It was a successful day, and I appreciate that time that we had as councillors. But we actually haven't, I haven't had time as a councillor to even read the report given by Roland's that was presented, which was the whole feedback from the community, not just the town hall corporate plan events we went to. And so I just think from a perspective of the whole putting the corporate plan together, the fact that we had to rush it to get it to today was quite challenging to be able to, I like to make sure that the due diligence has been has been done for myself. And so I will support it because I did get the opportunity to hear those town hall meetings, and I want to thank the staff. And I do understand that there's a lot of work that's gone into this from many layers of staff, and I want to thank them for that. Just, I guess, in future, that whole a bit more time and bring the councillors along on the journey, probably a little bit earlier than the last day, would be appreciated. So thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I'm very comfortable because to adopt this today, because yesterday was a full day of getting everyone's feedback, and actually it went up on the screen, and then the minute taker actually typed it in. Everyone saw what was going into it. So whilst may not have actually seen the new printed version, we saw it yesterday piece by piece, and certainly there's nothing that has changed on that. So I'm comfortable that we all, as councillors, got to see what is in it, and they were Roland's have been very professional and very detailed, and because it was up on the screen and typed in all day with the councillors there, I'm very comfortable to adopt it. Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Just once again, just to thank Jen and the team from Roland's, and I too think yesterday was good in the fact that it was like a live article that was getting adjusted on the run, and I think we all had that input. So once again, congratulations to Edwina, Eric, and the management and executive team. I think job well done.
Righto. On that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 That's 9-0, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. 9-0. Okay, moving on to 3.2, Statement of Estimated Financial Position 2022-23. I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 205 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Statement of Estimated Financial Position for the previous financial year 2022-23 be received and its contents noted. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, Councillor Ladbroke.
Okay, Councillor Ladbroke. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? And then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? Yes.
Yes.
There's five in the room, Mr Mayor. I couldn't work out who was online.
Yeah, all said
All
yes.
so that's 8.
No, through the chair,
7.
the Mayor, you haven't spoken yet, and
Yes, I'm in favour. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what,
That's
6,
7 too.
3?
There's a 3 online.
Well, I might. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd ask for the vote again. Sorry, apologies, Councillor McMullen.
Righto. So well, we might go with, is there anybody against the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Against.
Okay, so is that 2 against or 3 against?
3 against, Mr Mayor. 6-3 by the sound of it. Correct me if
Okay.
I'm wrong.
Righto. And all those in favour of the motion? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Okay, so I take it as 6-3 if I can call for a division.
Mr Mayor, excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
How many people on? There's 3 online, is there? 3
Through the chair, yes, that's
or
correct.
2? Who's online?
Three.
Sorry.
Councillor O'Neill,
Okay.
Councillor Edwards, and the Mayor.
Can I, Mr Mayor, can I just make a
Can we
suggestion?
suggest? Yeah, well, I was going to say that. Can Councillor O'Neill or can someone go first and second and third, please? And then I'm happy to go last.
But from this
Is that
end,
okay?
Councillor O'Neill and Councillor and the Mayor, sorry, are very much, with both having the WOG, we can't distinguish us.
Yeah.
Righto. Yeah,
So,
no problem.
So I'm happy to go last.
Righto.
In the vote.
Well, you maybe just say no.
Just say your name.
Yeah.
Righto. Okay.
Yeah, righto.
Do that then. Yeah, we just need to work.
Councillor O'Neill, do you want to go first, Councillor O'Neill?
Oh, I don't mind. It'll get a bit monotonous if we're saying our name. So how about we just do what we've done previously, and as Councillor Edwards has suggested, we do it in order.
Yeah, so
You just
Councillor
go first.
O'Neill
If you go
first.
for or against.
Anyway, we'll give it a whirl. We've done it before. Okay, so we've got that
Righto.
recorded. So we're moving on to the next item, 3.3, adoption of budget 2023-24. I'd like to move that pursuant to section 169 and 170 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council's budget for the 2023-24 financial year, incorporating the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flow, the statement of income and expenditure, the long-term financial forecast, the revenue statement, the revenue policy, assessment of business activities to determine if they meet the threshold for classification as a significant business activity, relevant measure of financial sustainability, the total value of change expressed as a percentage in the rates and utility charges levied for the financial year compared with the rates and utility charges leveled in the previous budget, estimated activity statement and rates and charges, rebate and concession policy, and capital and one-off projects as table be adopted.
Mr Mayor,
Do we
I'd like to propose an amendment, Mr Mayor, please.
Please go ahead.
I would like to move
Before
that-
you do, sorry, before you do, I don't think the Mayor read out the previous resolution correctly. There was a part, don't think he said statement of change in equity.
Yeah, that's correct. I
What
agree.
was that, sorry?
He missed
Okay,
the
well, I'll
part
just-
saying the statement in changes in equity.
Righto. Okay, I'll just correct that before we go on to the amendment. The statement of changes in equity, I've just added that in between the statement of income and expenditure and the long-term financial forecast. Councillor McMullen, please
Mr
go
Mayor,
ahead.
I'd like to move that council amend the draft revenue statement to increase capping to 3% for all capped categories, sorry.
Righto. And do we have a
Mr Mayor,
second?
that's the capping, that's not the cents in the dollar, just the capping.
Yeah, understand.
Yep. So is there a seconder for that motion? As the mover, I don't accept that. Is there a seconder for that amendment, I should say?
Can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
Councillor McMullen, how will that affect? Can you just explain that for us? So you're taking the capping.
By lifting the capping from 0 to 3%, it won't affect anything except it will increase the revenue just a little bit. If it gets to the table, I'll explain more.
So just through the chair, in relation to that, as the minute taker has just slightly amended, are you happy with the wording from 0 to 3%?
Oh, sorry?
Just to qualify that the revenue...
Well, 0 to 3%, yes, please. Yeah. Sorry, I should have read that out that way.
Okay, is there a seconder for that amendment?
Will that
Yeah, I'll second it.
Righto, Councillor O'Neill seconds that.
Hang on. What?
Yeah, Councillor Ladbroke here, I just think we need a bit more information.
Mr Mayor?
Well, I think...
Can
Yeah, please go ahead.
I speak to the motion, Mr Mayor?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, Mr Mayor, I'd like to I'd like to speak to the motion. The increasing of the capping to 3% will not affect anything other than the fact if it was a 2% increase, we'd only get about 0.5% increase in our revenue. However, we'll have at least 1,800 rating assessments come off capping. So by doing 3%, I wouldn't envisage much more income, but we will more than likely have an increase in number of assessments coming off capping. That's our big problem, as we're all aware, the whole 9 of us are aware we're having a big problem with capping, and that'll just help lift the capping. We were advised last year not to hit try and remove capping in 1 year, and I believe this is a way just to start the process going, remove some of the capping.
Okay, well, I'll speak against the motion. I certainly don't support this because this is not a rates freeze, this is a rates increase. It was very clear that made promises on a rates freeze. This is the last rates freeze of the term. We've got a financial surplus. Doing the rates freeze, I think capping, I certainly support capping because I've seen in the past when capping was in and done at bigger percentages, it caused a lot of grief with increases consistently. And I do not support this because this is not a rates freeze. Would someone like to speak for the motion?
Mr Mayor, can I just ask a question, please? It's Councillor Guthrie.
Please go ahead.
My query would be maybe to Madam CEO. We passed a resolution back a number of ordinary meetings ago that we had endorsed through majority not to increase the rates. Is that correct?
Yeah, through the chair, you had a motion similar to that.
I'm not quite sure of the wording, but it was in effect that we weren't increasing. Does this then contravene that that resolution that was passed?
Essentially, our practice would be to say that yes, it does. However, this is a special budget meeting and you are adopting a budget.
Okay.
What I would flag is that, one, you would need further advice to make sure that you were in line with that resolution. But secondly, it does bring into question the statements that are before you because they have been prepared on the basis that capping is at zero.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to add to that. We are not increasing the rates at all. The rates are not being increased. The capping is how the rates are at whatever the cents in the dollar are. Some people's rating assessments are being capped. We are not increasing the rates at all. It's still a rates freeze. It's just that the capping will be lifted.
But the capping does make it a rates increase. That's
no,
the whole.
No, Mr Mayor, totally incorrect. The capping is holding back because people's rates are at X amount of dollars and we're giving them a discount through capping.
Yeah, but capping, if you lift it to 3%, it's like a 3% increase in their rates because you have lifted the capping from 0 to 3%.
No, Mr Mayor, it's actually a 3% decline in what they still effectively owe council because of capping. They're not being charged the full amount.
CEO, from this point of view, if this motion gets up, what is the effect from 0% capping to 3% capping?
Look, through the chair, I would have to take that question on notice to work through that because I do believe that there would be a change to revenue and I do believe that it may affect some of the relativity in relation to some of those, how the categories applied to across the board. I understand what the council is suggesting is changing that, but I do think it does make some micro changes to individual assessments within that, within the individual rating categories, which will yield you a tiny amount of revenue, but there will be adjustments. So the statements have been prepared on the basis that the capping is at 0.
Well, I think what we need to do is test the amendment and see if it gets up first.
Yeah,
then
I think so.
Go from there.
Yes.
Okay, does someone else wish to speak for the amendment? Or against the amendment?
I'll speak against.
Please go ahead. Well, Councillor Hancock and then Edwards.
I'm actually really disappointed that I have to speak against this amendment because I actually really would like to have supported it because I too think that as a council it would be responsible for us to start looking at getting rid of capping. The reason we are here today is because we all weren't provided the opportunity to be able to work this through as a council and to look at different scenarios, rating scenarios as we were going along the budget journey. A motion was made and then there was only one consideration, and that was a rate freeze. So I understand exactly why Councillor McMullen is putting this forward today, because this is actually the only opportunity that councillors have had to be able to put forward another scenario. But it's on budget day, and unfortunately, as much as I'd like to support it, I need to see the documentation and what that will do to all the different scenarios, all the different rating categories. So on that basis, I can't support it, but I am really, really disappointed that it has happened today on budget day when we actually could have had this debate months ago and had a look at this scenario and actually consider it for what it's worth.
Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, well, sorry, Mayor, did you want to ask for anyone for it? Because I'm voting against it.
All right. Does anyone wish to speak
yeah.
for the amendment? Okay, then Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm, this is, obviously come out of the blue. It's, I think it's a little bit unfair that, I've got to look into it this way. And I haven't really got anything in front of me to prove or disprove. I know we had all the rating scenarios and I was happy with them. I was happy going through all that before. We had fairly in-depth consultation on this. So I was happy with the prior discussions. I was happy with the capping I was happy with the capping at 0%. And I believe capping's our friend, in particular circumstances. So yeah, I'll be voting against the amendment.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to point out to 3.3 on page 25 of our agenda. It clearly says, pursuant to section 116 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council has resolved to limit increases from the differential rate, general rates levied in the previous financial year to a maximum stated percentage for those differential rating categories as identified in the Table 1 rating categories. It does not say that the 0% capping has been approved at this point in time.
Okay, then we'll go to the vote on the amendment. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 All those against? Yes.
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 Okay, so is that
5.
And Mr Mayor, have you said yes or no?
yeah, I've said yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
3-6, wasn't it? Lost
Yeah,
3-6.
Yep. Okay, righto. Well, do we have a second for the adoption of the budget?
I have a couple of questions.
Please go ahead.
First of all, I was reading through all the papers again last night and looking at the different projects that were being put up today, and I've noticed that one of the projects that we had a councillor resolution for has not been included in the budget, and that was the bitumening to curb in Surat. And I went back and found the resolution that said that it was to be included in the next stage of the budget back on the 10th of May. It actually hasn't been included.
Through the chair, my understanding of that, and I'm certainly happy to take the question on notice, is that we did do that work with savings from another project, but I would just have to confirm with the officer.
No, this would be a new project for next year, for next budget, and it come off the back of the conversation, come off the back of our corporate plan meeting at the Surat Hall with the Surat community, where it was very loudly spoken about that that's what the community would like, just to have that project. The very next meeting, it was raised in our budget meetings, and it was voted to be put forward for the budget.
Through the chair, the bitumening to the curb for
Surat?
yep.
Project for Surat. It makes me wonder, is there other projects that haven't been in the resolution? There was another project. There was two in the one resolution. I'm not sure if that was that At some stage in that same meeting, there was the Roma Historical Cemetery. Don't know, I noticed the medical bursary is not in this budget. So I am actually a little bit concerned that some of those projects that we thought we were putting in are not in the budget.
Just through the chair, the medical bursary is operational expenditure, so it wouldn't be in the capital budget. In relation to this particular project, we've got a current resolution. What I'm suggesting is a simple way around that is to, in your recommendation, adjust it to add, note that the relevant project is included as part of this budget, and that that will be captured in relation to capital adjustments. In other words, if it's not in there and the vote and the capital project's been endorsed, it should be inserted into the budget, but an equivalent project of equivalent value should be taken out, unless council want to increase the capital budget, and I think that's messy. I'm really not familiar with that project, so I would certainly have to take it on notice just around that, because I don't think any costings and stuff were done at that point. So they certainly can come back in a review process in the first quarter. I'll just have to...
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, my other question is in the rates and charges rebate and concession policy, which is page 85. There's been put in 5.3, the nature strip footpath road verge mowing rebate. Council will consider applications from ratepayers subject to the following criteria. Eligibility, a rebate of up to 10% be available for ratepayers who demonstrate that they have maintained their nature strip to a satisfactory level. Applications including evidence must be submitted at review. Whilst I'm not against having a look at that, and we've talked about that in council, we only talked about it yesterday as well as with our corporate plan, and in our corporate plan yesterday we said to investigate that, but it looks like it's actually being implemented into a council policy where, as a council, we actually haven't voted on where we're going to do that, how much it's going to cost, how we're going to actually be able to implement that. So I actually have a bit of an issue that it's being put into our council policy without us being actually able to discuss that and have that.
Look, just through the chair, I'll refer to the director, but in essence, I understand the discussion yesterday about implement, but I certainly understand that this project or proposed project has actually been discussed for quite some time. So whilst the wording in the corporate plan is investigate, I think the current motions, even from the last couple of years, that a report be brought back in relation to the expenditure. The reason we put it into the concession policy, because it's a very simple way to do that, is to go concessionally, let's have an incentive program that does provide a benefit to the ratepayer and residents. By putting it into the concession policy doesn't mean that we automatically do it, it just allows us to do it. Then the report that would come back to you would actually articulate how the project would be managed, how you'd run it in accordance with policy, how it would be managed and implemented, and whatever monitoring or review process that council would need to take to bring it back. So I don't think the concession policy actually stops us developing that and bringing back more detail to council. What it does is provide the environment that we will actually create programs that provide incentives as part of our concession policy, and we do need to articulate that.
So is the concession policy the policy that we can't, that you have to have it in, otherwise we can't change it?
No, it can be changed.
So it can be changed at any time.
Yes.
So I would have an issue with the fact that we've already decided we're going to do a 10% rebate when we actually don't know we haven't done the costings on that. Like we're actually not saying, if it just said we'll consider, that might be all right. But the fact that we're actually putting in here that there's going to be a rebate of 10%, well, I don't even know what that is, what that cost is going to be for the council. And so If we can
look,
put it in the concession policy at a later date, why wouldn't we do that once we have the report come back to us?
Look, I think because, simply because we've had those discussions, we've had resolutions on the books. Clearly, what we're trying to do is bring things into our framework, into our corporate planning process, into our policy framework, so that we can easily implement them. If council's not happy with the wording in that, you can amend that today. Our recommendation was to put a figure in there simply so that you have an understanding. But certainly from the floor, I can hear Councillor Burkett saying you could amend that to up to 10%. Does it say up to? Yeah.
Rebate off their whole rates notice?
Look, through the chair, the concession actually allows you to provide a rebate. So that can come back and be qualified. It just is a framework, if that makes sense, to allow you to do that.
CEO, does that mean that with obviously the thoughts that are being voiced that this can be brought back to council to do some more work on it after the budget?
Yeah, absolutely. The policy just allows us the framework. Essentially, what is coming back to council in the next month or so is the detail around
The guidelines.
the
and
guidelines,
and the procedures.
implementation, and how we would manage it. Because again, there's some complexity in it.
Righto. Okay. Do we have someone to second the budget?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll speak to the budget. I believe this is a budget for the people of the Maranoa. We have been able to deliver a rates freeze. We have a lot of people under financial stress with the cost of living. Council are living within its means. We're in a strong financial position. And we've got record road works in the year of this year, next financial year, I think 130 million or so. This is significant amount of expenditure whilst we're keeping rates at an affordable level. And, this is definitely a budget for the people. Does someone wish to speak against the motion?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
This is my fourth budget and the fourth time I will not be supporting the rating scenario that is being proposed by Unity Maranoa. I say Unity Maranoa, however, I'm not sure if the Mayor's party have even had any input in this scenario. This year, I have not been afforded the opportunity to bring a rating scenario to any budget workshop. As councillors, we were not permitted to develop any alternative to the Mayor's scenario. Should I have been given the opportunity, I would have looked long and hard at all possible outcomes, as our main source of revenue needs to be able to deliver the services for our services that our community needs and expects. What has been presented today is only option we have, no plan B, which of course means the budget has the full backing of Unity Maranoa. As I said in the last budget, the Maranoa cannot afford a rates freeze, as services we provide to the community will be stretched even further if this is adopted today. In the 22-23 budget, the Mayor delivered what he said was a responsible budget, with an expected surplus of $24,000. The reality is this budget resulted in a deficit of $4.3 million. In fact, the deficit would have actually been $6.517 million had we not received more interest than was expected due to the rise in interest rates. The directorates, as in Bendemeer, Baringa, Bungle, Waroo and Roma, have all come in over budget, some as much as $500,000. One of the aims of creating these directorates was for greater efficiency. However, given they have all exceeded their budgeted amounts, I'm not sure how effective this change to our organisational structure actually is. One of my major concerns is that our cash reserves seem to be dwindling rapidly. On the 1st of July 2022, we had a cash reserve of $81.685 million. 12 months later, we have $67.375 million, a reduction of $14.31 million. This has been used, in my opinion, to prop up business units of council, for example, the sale yards and the airport. This is not surprising given the 3 consecutive years of rates freeze. Insufficient revenue from rates combined with spending on projects that have not followed the correct process when being presented to council have led to the reserves needing to be used to cover expenditure. In future, council will not have sufficient cash to replace or repair major assets such as roads, water, waste and sewerage. The projects that come with this budget are of course all worthy projects, but the reality is we need to rein in our spending, as I believe we as an organisation can't afford most of what is presented in this budget. In this budget, the Mayor is promising a surplus of $28,000. Given the significant difference between the budgeted and the actual figures from the previous year, directorates that are already exceeding their budgets in their first full year of operation, and spending on projects that have not followed due process, I have no confidence that the Mayor can deliver a surplus in this budget, and therefore I cannot support it.
Look, just through the chair, what makes you think that the directorates are overfunding because are over budget? Because essentially, when the council's adopting the budget, you're adopting it at a strategic level, and I'm just conscious of if we're having that discussion just in the chamber, is what information the public has at hand to say that those directorates are over budget.
Mr. Mill, we're in the debate. Is it right that the CEO is entering the debate?
Just through the chair.
No, I think it was the question, actually.
That's all. That are legally valid. That's all.
This is my
I-
belief.
Sure.
This is my.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
I'll speak for it. I just like to say briefly that I can't comment on assumptions. Never have, never will. I'm always happy to base things on actual figures and on facts, not what I think may have happened, did or didn't happen. It did happen or it didn't happen. It's a fact. And the council is an interesting business. It flows, it ebbs, it waxes, wanes from year to year. That's the concept of a business. If you look at financial accounts, they reflect the the situation at any one particular point in time. And you can go into those figures and you can have a look at them. And without going into it now, you just got to look at the actual situation. And there are reasons for the difference between a budget and an actual cost and what's actually happened. And there's no need, in my view, to get concerned about it. We keep a good eye on it. We monitor it, do our best, but there's no need, in my opinion, to comment on assumptions. It has to be facts. So, excuse me, when you look at, and the figures there at the bottom, the overall figure. The end result is there, but you've got to go back through it and have a look at it and see why that figure is there. And there are things that happen during the year that we don't know that are going to happen. That's why you do a budget. So, but overall, I'm happy with it. I know it's in. I know the Maranoa Regional Council is in good shape. It abides by certain regulatory and legislative measures, and once they're audited, you end up with an unqualified opinion. And that is determined by many people, many people, and so I'm happy, very happy with the with this budget. So, and going on into the next year, the same thing will happen again. We'll have our ups and downs and our ebbs and flows. So, but overall, I'm happy. I'm very happy to second this motion, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay. Does someone wish to speak against the motion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say I'm not supporting this budget, this motion, because I acknowledge that the majority want a rates freeze, and that's fine. But while ever capping's at zero, we are never ever going to get over our problems. We have major problems, you are aware. People's unimproved values are changing through succession planning or purchasing of other place. They're losing their capping, and in some cases the rates are going from 5,000 or 6,000 to 100,000, 80 to 100,000. Any of those, been several of those. Then they have to come back to us. If we get rid of the capping, we now have seven bands in the rural rates where this can be controlled without capping. And that was brought in 12 months ago, and that was the whole idea of doing it. And yet, whatever we continue with capping, those bands aren't going to do what they were designed to do or what they were implemented to do.
Okay. Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Okay. Does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
Yes, I will.
Please go ahead.
Bear with me with my voice. I apologise, everyone. Fellow councillors, today marks my 12th budget meeting as a councillor, and I speak to you today with deep concern regarding the Mayor's Unity Maranoa budget being tabled for consideration. My position in this budget is not simply a difference of opinion. It stems from a genuine belief that it is economically irresponsible and recklessly disregards the economic situation of our region. As council, it is our responsibility to manage the resources and finances of our region with prudence and foresight. We must be mindful of the economic landscape in which we operate and make decisions that align with the best interests of our community. However, the budget before us, in my view, fails to demonstrate this essential understanding. The proposed budget freezes the Maranoa rates for the third consecutive year, effectively disconnecting our region from the economic reality of the nation. Economic prudence calls for a balanced approach to managing our resources. We cannot afford to ignore the impact of inflation on our operations and services we provide. A responsible and prudent budget would take into account the rising costs of maintaining and developing infrastructure, providing essential services, and addressing the evolving needs of our community. A responsible and prudent budget would recognise that freezing rates limits our ability to adapt and invest in our region's future, hindering our progress and stifling opportunities for growth. However, this is not a responsible or prudent budget. This is a budget that has residents and the business community scratching their heads. As a father with a young family, I'm acutely aware of the importance of creating a bright and sustainable future for our families. I understand the necessity of managing our resources effectively, both for the present and for future generations. By neglecting to address the economic realities we face, this budget fails to provide the necessary foundation for a prosperous future. Therefore, I implore my fellow councillors to consider the long-term implications of supporting a budget that ignores economic prudence and places our region at risk. We owe it to our residents and businesses to make informed and responsible decisions that promote the well-being and economic stability of our region. I believe that a modest rate increase is necessary. If we were to apply a 3% rate rise to the minimum general rate for 2022, on residential C as an example, it would result in an additional investment of just $33.45 or 64 cents per week. However, if we were to move in accordance with the current inflation rate, the investment would be $78.05 or an extra $1.50 per week. By not taking the responsible step of a modest rate rise, our region loses the multiplier effect of pooling this additional investment. A modest increase in rates is not merely a financial adjustment. It's a powerful statement to other tiers of government. It would convey our commitment to invest in ourselves and demonstrate that we are true partners in providing for the needs of our communities. Over the past decade, I have tirelessly pursued funding partnerships for our council, and demonstrating our willingness to invest in our region is essential to boost our chances of success. A modest rate rise would also grant the council the much needed flexibility to address the unforeseen requests and challenges that inevitably arise throughout the year. Last year's budget had an operating surplus of just $24,000, yet the financial statements laid before us today reveal a staggering deficit exceeding $4 million. I implore the Mayor and his Unity Maranoa team to put politics aside and make responsible, forward-thinking decisions. With a modest rate rise, we can proactively address our financial challenges, fortify our financial position, and ensure the sustainability of our region for generations to come. Throughout the years, I have sought counsel from previous mayors and councillors who served in the pre-amalgamated councils. Their feedback has been clear and consistent. Holding rates one year inevitably leads to the need for rectification in another. Make no mistake, the community will inevitably pay for the poor economic decisions made here today. Serving the people in the Maranoa on the Maranoa Regional Council has been one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I remain committed to leaving MRC in our region in a better place than when I began. My opposition to the budget being tabled is in no way a reflection of the hard work undertaken by our dedicated staff in drafting this proposal. I recognise the effort and dedication they put into providing us with this year's budget papers. I appreciate their advice and professionalism, as well as the many good projects and initiatives presented within this budget. As councillors, our role is guided by 5 fundamental principles: transparency and effective decision-making in the public interest, sustainable development and management of assets and infrastructure, democratic representation and meaningful community engagement, good governance of our local government, and ethical and legal behaviours of councillors and employees. These principles have been at the forefront of my mind as I carefully considered the budget papers before us. Regrettably, I find myself once again in a position where I must exercise my vote against this budget. I do so with the utmost conviction, driven by the desire to safeguard the long-term future of our region and well-being of our communities.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the budget?
Look, just through the chair, can I just correct something? And I appreciate that the councillors, are making their statements. Just as information was supplied overnight to council in relation to financial assistance grants, council actually will have a forecast surplus of in excess of $4 million, whilst I acknowledge that the information presented to you today does talk about a deficit. In essence, those adjustments will come through and you'll see them in your end-of-year financial statements. Thank you.
But to clarify that, if we're entering a debate after a councillor has spoken, that FAG grants is it's going to make this year look good, but that money's actually for next year. And we've had this discussion quite often, and so I actually don't think that that's really fair, because we actually didn't have those figures last year. It was just saying that the payments going to come through.
Councillor Hancock.
Yeah.
Do you wish to speak against the motion?
Yeah, I do. But it's actually you're actually up to 4.
But Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question, given the interjection after my comments?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Just to the CEO, Edwina, can you just clarify the position that Councillor Hancock just articulated in the chamber? That's correct, isn't it? Those federal assistant grants, and I note your email overnight, that is for the financial year starting the 1st of July, isn't it?
Look, through the chair, the actual question is around your financial statements, your forecast position for 22-23. So essentially,
no, that's not. Sorry,
my comment.
Sorry,
just to
that's
let me
not my.
explain.
That's not my question. Sorry, with respect, that's not what I asked.
You're asking a budget question. So through the chair, the forecast position is a surplus. The budget. The money is for the budget for next year. So in answer, it's yes to both questions. We will have an improved financial position as at the end of 22-23, but yes, the money is for 23-24.
Righto,
we get-
Councillor Hancock.
No,
Well,
you're
actually,
up
I
to
I'd like
should
to
say,
speak-
yeah, please go ahead.
No, you're right. If
Councillor.
you finish, I'm just going to speak for. That was all.
Righto, well, okay, well, that's next anyway, so please go ahead, Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, we did stand as a group, and we were very transparent on that. Just let everyone know that we stood for what we for certain key things, and we've delivered, and we never back down from those things. And this is the 4th year we've been for a rates freeze. During the community consultation, there was respectable business people that came up and actually said it during the consultation when it was asked what did council do well, and they said rates and restructure. And so I haven't heard of all the negativity. There's probably obviously people from both sides of the fence, but and just in regards to last year's, we did have options. The option that got through was the only one that did show a surplus. The other two showed a deficit, so I think there's a bit of a contradiction in the last couple of statements than that. So I'm looking forward to getting more projects done, and I think the staff, we challenged them on doing things more efficiently through savings, and that's been shown evident in a lot of our jobs that have been done, and I take my hat off to the staff for following through on those, and I look forward to the next 12 months, the next until election time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hancock, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. It is with disappointment that I'll be voting against the budget for the 4th time of this term of council, which means that in my term as a councillor, I have voted against every budget. I have not done this lightly, but I simply cannot vote against my core values and beliefs. I believe that it is my job as a councillor to always be open, honest and transparent. The last 3 budgets of this council I do not consider being open, honest and transparent, and I don't believe this year's budget is either. I said it in the debate for the last budget, and I will say it again for this budget. It is not open, honest and transparent to move figures around on a piece of paper to make it look like you have a surplus budget so you can justify freezing rates. But the real truth comes at the end of the year, at 30 June, where council really experiences the consequences of the budget. For example, the last year's budget, the Mayor and Unity Maranoa team promised a surplus of $24,000, but the reality is, according to the budget papers that were given to us for our consideration for today, the estimated financial position for 2022-2023 is an operating deficit of approximately $4.3 million. And that is a fact, according to the budget papers we were given for this meeting. So therefore, as a result, the cash reserve is being depleted to operate council. I have no doubt that this year's budget, as presented with the $28,000 operating result, will again end up in a deficit. Again, therefore depleting more of the cash reserves to operate council. This is not a responsible decision. Cash reserves need to be used strategically to ensure that council can deliver its 10-year operational plan, such as upgrades to roads and water infrastructure, not to prop up a council budget that continues to operate in the negative because it has frozen rates in most sectors for 4 years. Now, don't get me wrong, I fully understand that the popular vote would not be to increase the rates at all, but that is not the responsible decision for the residents of the Maranoa, when what they really want is value for money. Just because it is popular doesn't make it the right decision for the financial sustainability of the Maranoa region. I am very concerned that the impact this budget will have on the future of the Maranoa's financial sustainability, therefore impacting future councils and their decisions. Freezing the residential, rural and commercial industry rates for 4 years is not only a popular vote, but it is a selfish decision with a long-term impact on the Maranoa and future councils. As I've been saying for the last 3 rate freeze budgets, and again this year, I believe small increments of increase is much easier for the ratepayers to meet than a massive rate increase in any 1 year. I would like to acknowledge and thank CEO Edwina, Director Eric, Officer Cindy, and all the staff involved who worked tirelessly throughout this budget process. For me, the budget process started out responsibly, where officers informed council of the need of a rate increase to cover the operational costs of council. That makes sense to me. How much does it cost to run council? So therefore, how much income do we need to cover the costs to provide the services to the community? The next meeting, the Mayor moved to only consider a rate freeze, which doesn't cover the operational costs according to the information we were presented in the first instance. So here we are today, having only considered this budget, and in my opinion, the $28,000 surplus will be blown by the first quarter. I am excited that I've had the opportunity to have input into endorsing the list of projects that will enhance the livability of the region if the budget is endorsed today. Projects that are investing in the upgrades of our infrastructure that will enhance the livability for our community. But I am disappointed that there are projects that we have a resolution on the books for, such as bitumening to the curb project in Surat, that have not been included in this budget. And will be pushed forward to quarter one to ensure that we have a surplus for the adoption of this budget today. I implore you, fellow councillors, to think about the legacy this council will leave for the future of the Maranoa region. When you freeze rates, forcing you to make serious cuts to the operational budget, yet increase our employee costs to budget for the 8 directors, but not increase our staff, actually a substantial staff vacancy list, I believe the only outcome will be a continuation of loss of services to the Maranoa community. It is easy for the Mayor and Unity Maranoa team to say they are delivering a responsible surplus budget, but the reality and fact, according to the Council's actual budget, 22-23, is Council can't deliver a surplus budget and have a rate freeze. This is simply not a financially sustainable budget, and on this basis, I cannot support this budget.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak for the motion?
Mr Mayor, Councillor Guthrie, I'd like to speak.
Please go ahead.
I'm not going to pick on individual bits, but I do want to say that this budget being suggested for resolution today or for consideration today to be enacted has been one that we have worked through over many, many, many months. So it's not just a something being presented and we then have issues with, or we then have the ability to look at a particular part. We have quarterly reviews where we go through. We had a budget that we presented 12 months ago that we were intending to be in surplus. We have then had 4 quarterly reviews where we've had updates of the story behind the figures that are presented. For some of those, there's actually story on the ability to actually do a project that receives federal or state monies, and we're very, very mindful that we are waiting for some of our projects to get to a completion to then receive the money. So it's not like we are sitting here going, oh, we are in the red, we are in a deficit. I just think that we need to look at it from a totality and say nobody has mentioned the fact that this year we've been able to achieve what we have done without seeking any additional external loans. We've actually reduced our loan, our situation with the amount of money owed externally. And I think that we have attempted to and been able to achieve a very responsible budget last year. I look forward this year to doing exactly the same and hopefully having a Maranoa region that is able to show that it's been a very, very successful 12 months achieved by the budget that's being considered today.
Okay, I think that's everyone has spoken.
Yeah, I'll just, Councillor Ladbroke here.
Councillor
I just want to say everyone seems to focus on the rates freeze. Well, the amount of money, even if we go up 3% or 5%, in the big picture, it is very, very small amount of money, you know. Other councillors are saying that, you know, we need the rates freeze, but, or not, we should increase. But the amount of money we're talking about isn't a lot of money. And with being short of staff, the shortage of staff has been that in the previous council as well, not just this one. I think it's still the same percentage that it was before. So that's just life today. You're not going to get a full amount of staff, and I'm looking forward to this budget, and I think it's a very responsible budget and good for the community. Thanks.
Okay, I think everyone has spoken. I'll sum up. A few disingenuous things have been said. I think one is the reason the position got worse in this financial year is that we took a position on possible bad debts, and that is actually a responsible thing to do. And I do believe, I think most people voted for that. So that's actually just being responsible. I think one of the issues is, you know, people get political rather than get what's the best for the Maranoa. In my time as mayor, we are now doing more things in more projects, more maintenance. We're doing it in the region. I'd like to congratulate the directors on the work they're doing. Now things are, and albeit slowly, they are actually getting solved that are long-term issues. And I've certainly not seen it where we've blown budgets, but we have our quarterly reviews to deal with that anyway. But when the community sees issues being solved that are long-term issues, that's when the community really values what council's doing. And if you've had all your life a way that you always want more money, need more money, that is not a good way to operate a business. So the decision of having a rates freeze is to reset rates. If this budget gets up today, that will have been done. But I really totally disagree with the mindset that you must always put rates up. And sometimes you need to look inwardly at efficiency and productivity as a way to do it. I believe there was a council that had 13 rates freezes in a row in this region, and that actually started because someone said we need to, and there was quite debate over it, a lot of debate, and then say, okay, we'll try. And really, council is paying down debt. We are buying a lot of new machinery. You know, when we were having rates increases in these categories, I didn't see that happening. So we've actually got a very strong budget. The more you look inwardly, the more that you understand that you don't always just ask for more money. And in a time when cattle prices are probably in half, and a time sheep, goat prices, and people in our towns have got major issues with cost of living rising, we should look inwardly at ourselves first as a council. And with CEO Edwina, she has been driving that, and the savings have been remarkable, and will continue to go, because the mindset has not been always ask for more money, always ask for more money. So, you know, this is a budget for the people of the Maranoa, and for us to look inwardly at ourselves first. And we are getting more done each year as we're going along, and that's for the benefit of the people. Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Yes.
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 Yes. All those against?
Against.
Against?
Against?
It's 5-4. 4-5.
And Councillor Hancock, I didn't hear you. You were against?
I said against, yeah.
Yep. Okay, 5-4. And if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on. Page 87.
87.
Thank you. 3.4, debt policy. Do we have a mover?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll move.
Please go ahead.
I'll move that council adopt the debt borrowing policy for 2023-24.
Do we have a seconder?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to second.
We have a seconder. Does the mover wish to speak for the motion?
Mr Mayor, Councillor Taylor would like to ask a question.
Please go ahead.
Just really quickly on page 89, where it says proposed borrowings 23-24, we're not going to. How do we decide that exactly?
Councillor, thank you for your question. So these numbers are based off an asset management plan around the water business some about approximately 3 years ago, from what I understand.
Yep.
And so these expected borrowings are based on those actual asset
So
management
do
plans.
we always sort of borrow for community and essential infrastructure? Like it's...
It was based off those asset management plans and what they had in their reserves at that particular point in time. We are looking at reviewing our asset management plans, which will have an impact on what will come forward to council in the future.
So this is not set in stone?
No,
Okay.
no.
And through
There
the
was expected to be borrowings in this current financial year, but we haven't gone down that particular track. If you recall, when I initially brought this for just a noting to council at the last meeting, I inadvertently had left the borrowings estimated for the current financial year in there, which I have since taken out because we're not taking them.
Through the chair, I've got a question, Mr Mayor.
Please
Director
go
Eric, so what you're saying is in previous years, whether it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, if there wasn't money in that business unit or whatever, they did borrowings on that. So if there was none in that reserves,
Yep,
that's when they did. So we haven't done that this year.
that's correct.
Thank you.
And through the chair, in relation to just improving on that response, is councillors, you do have an opportunity to bring back amendments to the policy, and certainly we would pick up during the year any discussions that you're having around your preference to borrow, in discussion when you're looking at major projects as we go along during the budget process. This really captures the sentiment of council as at the when you're setting that budget, you're not anticipating to borrow. But again, should that change, that can come back and be amended.
Okay, so we have a mover and we have a seconder.
Yeah, Councillor Guthrie.
Thank you. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, I'm right. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Righto. Does anyone else wish to speak? Righto, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
9-0.
Okay, so 9-0. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to page 96. 3.5, differential general rating categories and descriptions. I'd like to move that council, 1, pursuant to section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the categories into which rateable land is categorised, the description of those categories, and pursuant to section 181 brackets 4 and 181 brackets 5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012.
Mr Mayor,
Yes.
my copy says section 81, not 181.
Sorry, you're right. Section 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the method by which land is to be identified and included in its appropriate category below, and 2, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power pursuant to section 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation to identify the rating categories to which each parcel of rateable land belongs. CEO, with this, how do we do that when it's really long? Do we just...
As per
As presented.
items 1, 2,
Listed.
as listed.
Yes, through the chair, your practice is that when you've had very long resolutions, you've said exactly as Councillor McMullen and other councillors have said, just just say,
1 to
include
83, I would recommend.
to 83.
Righto. Well,
Last
1
time when we
till
put the numbers there, we got them wrong, so have we got them right?
Just say it's table A listed.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, as listed in table A, yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. As listed in table A, descriptions of rating categories. Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does
I've
anyone
just
wish
got a
to speak
question.
to? Please go
I've
ahead.
got a question, Chair. That one, could you just hold it there, please, on the screen? Carbon farming, the equal to or greater than 100,000 ACCUs. Is that correct? I'm just wondering if someone would explain that to me. More than 100,000. Sorry, with more than 100,000. Yeah, okay.
Mr Mayor, can I speak to that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
If you don't mind, that'd be good.
From my memory, that was recommended by the rating specialist, and I think from memory, you've got to have the 100,000 ACCUs before you can actually put the land can rate the land.
Oh, okay.
Increase the rating in the land, I suppose the word to say.
Or rate it.
Yeah, rated
or
as
pay rate.
carbon farming, you've got to have the 100,000 ACCUs.
Righto, to levy that rate on that particular
Yes.
land. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Righto. Thank you.
Okay, righto. So, does anyone wish to speak? Righto, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? Yes.
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 Any? All those against?
There's no hands.
9-0.
Righto, 9-0. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 3.6,
On page 119.
119. Differential general rates 2023-24. I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 80 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category, and pursuant to Section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the minimum general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category be as set out in the table below. Okay, do we have a seconder for that?
Councillor Ladbroke.
Okay, Councillor Ladbroke. And is that enough detail, table below, CEO?
Yes, through the chair. And you could just ask the minute taker, just how are we minuting that? Table below, new differential categories 1 to 83. Will that be?
We could even do page numbers from page 119 to 123.
I think for completeness, you need to just mention the numbers, new differential categories 1 to 83, simply because that's part of that resolution.
Righto. Okay, so mention the differential rate categories 1 to 83. Councillor Ladbroke, are you happy with putting that in there?
It's tabled.
Yeah, that's fine.
Righto. Okay, so does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, so we're going to go to the vote then. All those in favour? Yes.
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 All those against?
Against.
Against.
Okay, so what we've got, just Councillor Hancock, Councillor Taylor.
So is that 5-4?
Yeah.
Yes, through the chair.
That's what I'm saying about going first when you're potentially not
Yeah.
You don't know who,
Yeah,
you need to
so-
say the names.
Just through the chair, just for your benefit, the nays were Hancock, Taylor, O'Neill and McMullen. And then
so it's 5-4.
those voting in the positive. I just didn't hear your vote. Did you vote
Yes,
positively?
yeah, I started in the beginning, Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's 5-4 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to the next one. 3.7, page 128. 3.7, setting the limit of increase in the amount of general rates 23-24. I'd like to move that Council 1, as required by Section 172.2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, but subject to paragraphs A to B below, records that pursuant to Section 116 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that the amount of the differential general rate to be levied for the 23-24 financial year on the categories of land identified in the table below be limited to an amount no more than an amount equal to the amount of general rate levied on the land in the previous financial year, increased by the percentage identified in table 1 below. Table 1 from differential categories 1 to, is it 83?
That's right.
1 to 83.
And then the resolution continues on page 132.
Okay,
for point 2,
righto.
A, B, C, D, E, F.
Righto. 2, the limitation of increase in the differential general rate will not apply to the land where A, there has been a change. Yeah, did someone say something?
No, just a sneeze. Apologies.
Okay, so I'll say that again. Say that again.
Sorry.
That's right.
Okay, 2, the limitation of increase in the differential general rate will not apply to the land where A, there has been a change in valuation other than the revaluation of the entire local government area during the current or previous financial year, or B, there has been a change in the land area during the current or previous financial year, unless that change is the result of the council or a state government entity acquiring by agreement or compulsory acquisition part of a parent parcel, thus creating new rateable assessment. The original parcel less the part acquired, in which case a limit on each increase will continue to apply to the new rateable assessment, or C, a discount valuation under Chapter 2, Section 50 of the Land Valuation Act 2010 has ceased, or D, there has been a change in the differential rating category of the land during the 23-24 financial year, or E, the differential rating category of the land in 22-23 financial year changes in the 23-24 financial year. And then for land on which the rate levied for the previous financial year was for a period less than the full year, the differential general rate for the previous year will be annualised, and the limitation applied to the annualised amount in accordance with Section 116.2(b)(2) of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll second it.
Yeah, Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish?
Excuse me, through you, Mr Mayor. Just for point
Yes.
B, you had read out each rather than any. Did you mean
Righto.
any? That was
No, I
point B
want to go
under
with.
2.
Okay, so what was the difference there?
You had read out each, but the recommendation was any.
Okay, well I'll change it from each to any. Is the seconder happy with that?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Righto. Okay, does anyone wish to speak to the motion or against the motion? Righto, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All those against?
Yes.
Against?
Against.
Okay, 5-4.
And through the chair, Mr Mayor, did you vote in the positive?
Yes, I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's 5-4 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to the next one. 3.8, page 141. $3.8, water utility charges 23.24. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'll move.
Please go ahead.
I'll move that council that 1 pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council make and levy water utility charges for the supply of water services by the council as set out in the tables below.
I'll second that.
Hang on.
We've got another 2 numbers.
There's more to go.
More to go, sorry. And 2, pursuant to section 102(2) of the Local Government Regulation 2012, a water meter is taken to have been read during the period that starts 2 weeks before and ends 2 weeks after the day on which the meter is actually read.
I'll move
Righto.
that. Mayor Golder.
Yes, so
Councillor Ladbroke.
Councillor Ladbroke seconds that. Okay, so CEO, that's the detail we need in there.
Yes, thank you.
Righto. Okay, does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 That's everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
9-0.
9-0. Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
Page 147.
Thank you. Page 147. $3.9 sewerage utility charges 23.24.
I'll
We
move,
have a
Mr Mayor.
mover. Please
Yeah,
go
Mr.
ahead.
I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council makes and levy sewerage utility charges for the supply of sewerage services by the Council as set in table below.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
No,
Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes?
Yes.
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 That's everyone.
Yes.
Righto, so is that 9-0?
Yes, it is.
Righto, thank you, 9-0. Okay, moving on to
Page 152.
page 152. Uh, 3.10 waste management utility charges 23.24. Do we have a mover?
I'm happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that 1 pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council make and levy waste management utility charges for the supply of waste management services, including the collection, removal, storage and disposal of general waste by the council as set out in the table below. And 2, waste management utility charges are levied on all premises where council's agent is prepared to provide a refuse collection service. A minimum of 1 charge will be made and levied on each separate occupancy, and such a charge shall apply whether or not the service is rendered.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Happy to second that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 That's
9-0.
Yeah.
Okay, 311 pest management special rate 23.24. Do we have a mover?
Yeah, I'm happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a special rate as follows. Pest management special rate. A special rate to be known as the pest management special rate of 0.000125 cents in the dollar on the unimproved capital value of the rateable land to which the overall plan applies to fund the cost of pest management, including pest animals, pest plants, and across the Maranoa. B, the overall plan for pest management special rate is as follows. A, the surface facility or activity for which the plan is made is the cost of the pest animals and the pest plants management across the Maranoa, including meat and factory baits for 2 coordinated wild dog baiting programs and ad hoc baiting, wild dog bonus payment for scalps, and the treatment of high priority pest plants in accordance with Council's pest management plan. Is that A again, Kelly, or is that just out of alignment?
Yeah, it's out of alignment.
Will I go B?
Yes.
B, the rateable land of which the special rate applies is all rateable land categorised as Category 10, rural 80 to 1,000 hectares, through to Category 15, rural greater than 50,000 hectares. Category 81, rural greater than 11 million and greater than 16.5 million. And Category 82, rural greater than or equal to 16.5 million in the 2023-24 financial year. C, the estimated cost of carrying out the activity, the subject of the overall plan, is $595,000. The pest management plan special rate will levy an estimated $595,000 towards the total estimated cost of carrying out the activity. And D, the estimated time for carrying out the overall plan is 1 year. The rateable land or its occupier special benefits from the service, facility or activity funded by the special rate because it will provide management of pests, both animal and plant, so as to improve the agricultural activities on the land which increase productivity for landowners.
And just through the chair, councillor, just if you could just repeat, rural is greater than 11 million and less than 16.5 million. Category
Oh, sorry, I forgot
81
the equal to,
is-
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Rural, larger than or greater than, equal to 11 million and greater than 16.5 million.
Category, yeah.
And
Less
through
than.
you,
It's actually
maths.
below 16.5, isn't it?
Yeah,
Less
that's
than,
exactly
sorry.
right. Category
Sorry.
81 is rural greater than 11 million.
Can't blame me glasses either, got them on.
and less than 16.5.
and through you, Mr Mayor, I just wanted to clarify point A, where it's highlighted in yellow on the screen. That was all rather than
Yeah, I think I
the.
did miss that, yeah, all rateable land, thanks, Kel.
Happy
And
to second that, Mr Mayor.
righto, thank you, Councillor Burkett. And on point A, then after it's rural, and it's 16.5 million and above, isn't it? Is that one?
No, below, Mr
No.
Mayor.
Below.
I might have said less, yeah.
I think you said greater than, yeah. Yep, hence the, yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is as long as we get it right. But yeah,
That's exactly, yep.
yeah, righto.
Yep.
Okay, so the second is happy with that. Does anyone wish to speak to this motion, for or against?
Mr Mayor, can I just make a comment, please?
Please go ahead.
I just would like to reinforce the fact that in the 2022-23 financial year that we actually rewrote and reviewed our pest management plan. So I'm very, very optimistic that this particular rate that's being suggested in this motion will enable both pest animals and pest plants to be attended to as they need to, because I know it is of severe or serious concern to a lot of our particularly rural ratepayers. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, I'm going to speak against.
Please go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I won't be supporting this today because I believe that the broader rate base should be supporting the pest management across the region, just not rural landowners. One of our strongest businesses across our community is the agricultural businesses, and therefore I think there's an obligation on every ratepayer to contribute to the management of pest plants and pest animals across our region. And on that basis, I won't be supporting the resolution as it stands.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. All those against?
Against.
Against.
That's 3 nays.
6-3.
Okay, so Councillor Hancock, which way were you?
Against.
Against. Okay, so 6-3, if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to page 162. Uh, 312, State Government Precept Special Rate 2324. Do we have a mover?
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move this one.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a special rate as follows. The State Government Precept Special Rate. A special rate to be known as the State Government Precept Special Rate of 0.000090 cents in the dollar on the unimproved capital value of all rateable land to which the overall plan applies to fund the cost of the State Government Precept Charge, research and on-ground works. And B, the overall plan for the State Government Precept Special Rate is as follows. A, the service, facility or activity for which the plan is made is the cost of the State Government Precept for the wild dog barrier fence, pest and weed research and on-ground works. B, the rateable land to which the special rate applies is all rateable land categorised as Category 10, rural, 80 to 1,000 hectares, through to Category 15, rural, greater than 50,000 hectares, Category 81, rural, greater than or equal to 11 million and less than 16.5 million, and Category 82, rural, equal to or greater than 16.5 million in the 2023-24 financial year. The C, the estimated cost of carrying out the overall plan is $428,614. The State Government Precept Special Rate will levy an estimated $428,614 towards the total estimated cost of carrying out the activity. And D, the estimated time for carrying out the overall plan is 1 year. The rateable land or its occupier specifically benefits from the service, faculty or activity funded by the special rate because it will provide maintenance and renewal of the wild dog barrier fence and pest and weed research, including on-ground works, which is provided by the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, DAF, so as to improve the agricultural activities of the land, which will increase productivity for landholders.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yep, Councillor Ladbrook.
Councillor Ladbrook. Does anyone does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'm happy to say that this particular topic of the support for the wild dog barrier fence has been one that we've looked at in briefings of recent times, and also we've made a submission to LGAQ with our preference as to the options that will go ahead to DAF as they start to review and look at the way forward. But I'm very, very confident that what we are adopting here, should it get up by colleague support, will be that we are committing money towards maintenance of the wild dog barrier fence and all the associated pest management that's attached to it.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion?
I'll speak against.
Please go ahead.
Largely for the same reasons I articulated in the previous report. I know that as a council and a council that has the wild dog barrier fence traversing our region, that we need to invest in it and, put monies aside for the precept. I just believe that it shouldn't be fully covered by rural ratepayers, that there is an obligation for all ratepayers to contribute to this, because again, if rural businesses are doing well, our communities are doing well, and therefore I can't support the recommendation as it stands.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak for the motion or against the motion? Okay, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I think I've made my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. All those against?
Yes.
Against.
Against.
So we have 3 against.
Okay, 6-3, if I can call for a division. Moving on to
167.
167, thank you. Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2324. Do we have a mover?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move.
Thank you.
That one, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a special charge to be known as the Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge, as detailed in the table below, on all rateable lands serviced by the Rural Fire Brigades for Amby, Mungalala, Yulbar and Orange Hill, to contribute to the operational costs of firefighting and the ongoing provisions and maintenance of rural firefighting equipment for the rural fire brigades as below. Amby $74.58, Mungalala $74.58, Yulbar $74.58, Orange Hill $50. 2. Overall plan for the Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge is as follows. A, the service, facility or activity for which the plan is made is to contribute to the operational costs of firefighting and the ongoing provisions and maintenance of rural firefighting equipment for the rural fire brigades that operate throughout the areas of Amby, Mungalala, Yulbar and Orange Hill. B, the rateable land to which the plan applies is all rateable land defined by Queensland Fire and Rescue Services, QFES, rural fire services being serviced within each rural fire brigade boundary as identified in the QFES administrative map for each brigade. C, the estimated cost of carrying out the overall plan is $20,504. D, the estimated time of carrying out the overall plan is 1 year. 3, the rateable land or its occupier speciality benefit from the service, facility or activity funded by the special charge because these local rural fire brigades units respond to emergency fire calls.
You got a word?
Do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second. Oh,
You go.
you know. There's a word that.
Councillor Guthrie.
Okay,
second.
Councillor Guthrie will second that. And does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Mr. Mayor, can I just check? We've got emergency highlighted on the screen. Kel, can I just ask, was that,
Just to repeat that section again,
okay.
the name of the organisation.
The rateable land to which applies to all rateable land defined by Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, QFES.
Thank you. Rescue.
Righto. Second, are happy with that?
I am.
Righto. No one wishes to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 9-0.
9-0. Okay, moving on to
Page 173.
page 173. Levy and payment of rates and charges. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that, Mayor Golder. I'd
Please
like to
go
move
ahead.
that pursuant of Section 107 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and Section 114 of the Fire and Emergency Service Act 1990, council rates and charges, and the State Government Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy to be levied for a half year, 1st of July 23 to the 31st of December 23, in August, September 2023, and for the half year of the 1st of January 2024 to the 30th of June 2024, in February, March 2024. And 2, pursuant of Section 118 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that council rates and charges and the State Government Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy be paid within 30 clear days of the issue of the rate notice.
Okay. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor McMullen. Righto. Now, does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, not at all. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 9-0.
9-0. Thank you.
The next page is page 179.
315, total value of change in rates and utility charges.
Kel, did you want?
Do we have a mover?
Hang on, Mr. Mayor. Yes. Don't know, that was red.
I missed a bit, did I?
One. Yeah, all that's in yellow.
This is the next one.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, there is a change which is highlighted on the screen, which you can't see for point 1.
Take that back.
Is
Was
this
put in the report.
315?
That's right.
3.15.
3.15.
Yeah.
Page 179.
3.15.
So through the chair, the mayor, there's some additional words in point 1, which include the general rate is flat, whilst the utility charges are up to a maximum of 5%.
Righto. Does someone wish to move that motion?
I can move that, Mayor Golder.
Please go ahead.
I just can't see the screen, Kel. I will do. Just that bit there. I'd like to that council adopt the following pursuant of Section 169 bracket 6 and 169 bracket 7 of the Local Government Regulation of 2012, the total value of a charge expressed as a percentage in the rates and charges budgeted to be levied and for the 23-24 financial year compared with rates and charges budgeted. So
Yes, that's right, to be levied. Yep, sorry.
budgeted to be levied in the 2022-23 financial year. The general rate is flat while the utility charges are up to a maximum of 5%. And two, for the purpose of this calculation, any discounts and rebates are excluded.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Ladbrokes, point one, I've just got highlighted on the screen change. You said charge.
Okay. Yep.
So you're happy to change that to
Yep,
to
that'll
change?
be fine. Yes.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Thank you, Julie.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Okay, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. So is that 9-0?
8-1,
Yeah.
I think.
Through the chair.
8-1.
8-1, Mr Mayor.
Oh, 8-1. Okay. Well, I better do all those against.
Yes.
Okay. So 8-1 if I can call for division. Okay. We'll move on to 316.
182.
182. Discount on rates 23-24. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rates made and levied shall be subject to a discount of the percentage set out in the table below. Discount on differential general rates 5%. If paid within the discount period of 30 days of the date of issue of the rate notice, provided that A, all of the aforementioned rates and charges are paid within 30 days of the date of issue of the rate notice. B, all other rates and charges appearing on the rate notice that are not subject to the discount, not subject to a discount, are paid within 30 days after the date of issue of the rate notice. And C, all other overdue rates and charges relating to the rateable assessment are paid within 30 days of the date of issue of the rate notice.
I'll second that, Mayor Golder.
Righto, we've got a seconder, Councillor Ladbrokes. Anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Is that 9-0?
That's right.
9-0. Righto, 317,
Page 187.
page 187. Okay, interest on all overdue rates and charges for 2023. I'd like to move 1, compound interest on daily rests at the rate per annum set out in the table below. Interest on all overdue rates and charges 4%. 2, and is to be charged on all overdue rates or charges. Council has determined that rates or charges will be determined as overdue for the charging of interest if they remain unpaid after 60 days from the due date of the relevant rate notice. Do we have a seconder?
Through you, Mr Mayor, just the top part of that resolution, that pursuant to section.
I didn't say that,
just
did
missed
I?
that.
No, good
Yeah.
point. Righto. I will start with the front part, that pursuant to Section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the level of interest is to be set as 1, compound interest on daily rests at the rate per annum set out in the table below. Interest on all overdue rates and charges 4%. 2, and is to be charged on all overdue rates or charges. Council has determined that rates or charges that will be determined as overdue for the charging of interest if they remain unpaid after 60 days from the due date of the relevant rate notice. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
It mightn't be the right time or whatever, but just in relation to that situation, I mean, I know we're rating, we're rating them, but sorry, this is about the interest on all overdue rates and charges. So in a particular situation where they owe, $1, and then you charge 40 cents on the dollar, that's 40. 4 cents. What is it? 4%. So 4 cents. So is that? Do we have to do this in a special meeting to avoid that happening, or is that an administrative thing? Yeah, I'm just not sure whether we've passed that at a previous resolution or what we've done, but I think this is the time to do it, isn't it?
Through the chair, is the question you're asking, councillor, that the organisation write those additional interest charges off if they're insignificant? You do need to you do need to adopt your charging position.
Yeah.
It's probably not part of this motion to change anything in relation to that. Administratively, we do have the delegations to waive some aspects interest. However, the aim is for the system to automatically generate those things. There will be some aspect of administrative decision making if it's really insignificant.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Okay.
If it forms part of this, you'd say that it's not going to be levied on a particular thing. But I see where you're coming from. So you can do that administratively later. Yep.
Yes, through the chair, I'm just trying to just ask questions so that I can understand what you mean. Is the issue that we actually charge it, or is the issue that we actually send out bills for it? Because
someone hasn't paid the full amount, and they've come in, paid it, and they're $1 short, and they owe $1.
Short of sandwich.
And then they get charged 4% on $1. It's just not worth pursuing.
Through the chair, just for completeness, is if that dollar is owing on rates, the council the organisation doesn't have the power to waive them. It's only a decision that can come to council.
No, that's fine.
If it's interest, we can make a decision based on a range of criteria.
No, it's the interest I'm talking about. Yeah, it's the interest on the dollar. Yeah, 4 cents or whatever it is. Yep. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Burkett, were you happy to second this?
Yeah, I'm happy to second. I think you added a B in there. I don't know, Kel, but anyway, I'm all good to second that.
Yeah, anyway. Hopefully we got enough that I've said it.
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
Okay.
So, Mayor, I'd like to propose an amendment.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to propose that the interest on all overdue rates and charges be increased to 5%.
I won't accept that as the mover. Would you like to get a seconder for that? Is there a seconder for the amendment?
Happy to second that.
Okay. Does the mover wish to go? The mover of the amendment wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Given the rate of change in terms of inflation that we're all experiencing, I think it's prudent that we do increase the interest on all overdue rates and charges nominally. I'm talking about an increase of 1% to 5%. I do that because at the end of the day, this percentage is applied to people that haven't paid their rates. It's not on people that have done the right thing and paid their rates on time. It is for people, and we've seen it time and time again, that have failed over a long period of time to pay their rates. And good rate payers of the Maranoa are then having to carry them. And so we did have interest on overdue rating charges much higher than 4% in years gone by. I'm just simply proposing that we move it from 4% to 5%, acknowledging what's happening in the broader economic space nationally, and I'm asking councillors to support that nominal increase.
Okay, I'll speak against the motion. I'm very comfortable with the 4% an amount, and I believe it actually helps people get on top of their debt, because the compounding fact of any higher than that, in fact, I know in previous council terms it was 8.9%, and then I believe it was 11% from my memory. You know, that basically caused problems for people never to be able to get out of the debt. So I don't think we should be profiting from it. I think 4% is reasonable. And what we want people to do is we want them to actually pay their overdue amounts. And I think this is a reasonable and balanced rate for the people. And that's what this is about. And that's why I'm certainly not supporting the amendment. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to support the amendment of the 5% simply because it is about encouraging people to pay their rates on time. So when there is a consequence of interest, and it's not a lot of money at 5%, you can. So it's when I said that, I mean it's not the high figures that you were quoting, Mr. Mayor. I think it is a happy medium, but it does encourage people to pay their rates on time, and I guess for somebody who is in hardship, we have policies where they can come to council and put forward a payment plan, request waivers for hardship. We actually have ways that we can assist those people who can't pay their rates. But for the average person who just isn't paying their rates, I actually think that this is a fair percentage to put on that to encourage them to pay it and pay it on time.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak?
No. I have a question.
Does the move? Yeah, please go ahead.
The ratepayer that owes us a huge amount, are they getting that charged that amount of money?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Yep. Because that's really, where our money's gone, isn't it, really? And we're not making any progress.
If I can just say...
Are we making progress with that payment?
Yes, we
Well,
would be. There would be a...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Councillor
example of this
Ladbroke, that's
coming
not
in
really
the-
part of the
No, that's
budget
right.
meeting.
No, it's okay.
To the resolution, yeah.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the maximum amount that could be applied is 11.64%. I'm talking about increasing it by 1% to 5%. And I think the arguments that Councillor Hancock articulated just moments ago, I back wholeheartedly. We need to incentivise people to pay their rates on time, and moving by 1% from 4 to 5 is a good illustration of that. So I urge councillors to support the amendment.
Okay, so on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
All those against?
Yes.
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 Yes. So how many were in favour of the amendment? Was it 2?
3-6, Mr. Mayor.
3-6.
3. Okay, thank you. 3-6. If I can call for a division. So did we have a seconder for the original motion?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Burkett.
Burkett, apologies.
The
Indeed.
big B.
Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So I'll speak to the motion. I've been very glad that as part of a council for the people, that we, from my memory, it was 11% and then 8.9%, and we've got it down to 4% on overdue rates. And that's a real figure. That's probably what it's costing us. We recover that. It is something that lets people get out of, payment difficulties. We want to help people not owe council any money. So I believe that this is not putting people in financial difficulty, but still charging a reasonable rate of interest. So I'll certainly support this, and I'm very glad that we let people, sometimes it's different circumstances and they get in a tough spot, and council wants them to basically pay back their debt and not be crippled by extremely high interest rates. So I'll certainly be supporting this motion. Does anyone else wish to speak against it or for it? Okay, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 All those against?
Against.
7-2, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you. 7-2, if I can call for division. Okay, so...
Mr Mayor, can I think we might have to adjourn and reopen the next one and then come back.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes.
We've
3
got
minutes.
12 minutes past now. If we go to the same extent we did the last one, we'll be over.
Through the chair.
So
Yeah, no, that's
err
a
on
good
the side of
point. That's a
caution.
good point.
What are you getting hungry?
Okay, we'll
Over
just
the next meeting.
we'll just adjourn the budget meeting and for us, and we'll be back in a minute after we've sorted this other meeting out. Yeah, significant business activity assessment, 23-24. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that, Mayor Golder.
Please go ahead.
Move that that the result of significant activity assessment be received, noting that no further action is required.
So, Councillor Ladbrook, significant business activity. Can you happy to put
business
that in
activity. Yeah, that'd be good. Thank
there?
you.
Righto, I'll second that.
Thank
Does anyone else wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour, yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Mr McMullen, you're going to...
Yeah, I said yes.
Yeah, he's had his hand
Over
up.
loud, but-
Righto,
Had his
so
finger up there.
that 9-0.
Yeah.
9-0. Okay, moving along. 195. Code of Competitive Conduct 23-24. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'll move
Please go ahead.
that council does not apply the Code of Competitive Conduct to the following business activities for 2023-24. Building certifying activity, quarry operations, sale yards operations, waste management, airport operations, water and sewage services, gas operations, plant services and internal function, roads operations, mainly RMPC. Given the level of expenditure in the business activities and the little or no competition for the services provision, council sees no public benefit in applying the Code of Competitive Conduct at this time.
I'm happy to second it, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Burkett seconds. Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. Okay, thank you, Councillor McMullen. Well, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Everyone.
Yes.
9.
9-0. Okay, so moving on to
Page 201.
201. Thank you. 320, item 3.20. Adoption of annual operational plan 23-24. I'd like to move that pursuant to section 104(5)(a)(b) of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 174 and 175 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopts the annual operational plan for 23-24. Do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Guthrie, does anyone wish to speak?
Yes.
I'll speak. Every year we go further and further. We're doing more and more in the community. As far as our operational plan, gone are the days that we couldn't do things and had to change. So we are doing more. We're doing more with less, and look forward to this year delivering more for the people of the Maranoa. So I'm very happy with the operational plan. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I won't be supporting the adoption of the annual operation plan for 23-24 because I believe that there has been positions changed in the organisational structure that has impacted the operational plan and it will impact the operational plan into the future and because of that impact, I think it's going to impact services and support to our community. So therefore, I can't support the adoption of the annual operation plan for 23-24.
Does anyone else wish to speak for or against? Okay, then I'll sum up. Contrary to different personal views, there's been no lack of reduction of services. Council is doing more and now has a different mindset on how to solve things. And our local directors in our local areas, I certainly get the feedback from residents on a weekly basis that they're solving issues and improving things as it was spoken about when we did our local plan consultation. Certainly there's been no loss of services. And compared to previous terms, we're getting a lot more done. So I'm very happy with the operational plan. And this is done in an environment where we've kept rates affordable. So on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 All those against?
Yes.
Against.
So that's 6-3.
Correct.
Okay, if I can call for a division. Righto, moving on to...
L1.
well, that's it.
No, L1.
End up.
Just one there, mate.
Right.
Mayor.
Through the chair, fees and charges. Apologies, councillor.
Right,
Page 2.
L1. Okay, so does someone wish to move that?
I'm happy to move it, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
You just got to call the title, Mr Mayor.
Call the subject heading, Mr Mayor.
Oh, yep. L1, fees and charges.
No,
No.
you mustn't have it in front
Register of general costs, recovery fees and commercial charges.
So, okay.
of you. Register
So
of
we
general
might
cost.
just...
You don't have it?
Yeah,
Have you got the late budget item?
No, I have not got that.
Well, you
We'll
want me to
just
move
adjourn
it,
for a minute.
Mr Mayor, you want me to move it?
Call it.
Well, I'll call it.
Yeah, well, I'll probably have to call it. Maybe we'll just adjourn for a minute and get that sent to me, please. Okay, so we'll keep going with the meeting now. So I'll call L1, Register of General Cost Recovery Fees and Commercial Charges. Do we have a mover?
Yeah, Mr Mayor,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'd like to move that Council 1, receive and note the report. 2, adopt the amended fees and commercial charges commencing the 1st of July 2023, excluding the following areas that have been or will be presented as separate reports: community safety, airport and Roma Sale yards. And 3, resolve that in relation to those cost recovery fees to which Section 97 of the Local Government Act 2009 applies, that 1, the applicant is the person liable to pay these fees, and 2, the fee must be paid at or before the time the application is lodged, and 4, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer. Madam CEO, could that be or delegate? Are you happy to have a delegate there, or do you?
But through the chair, that's
Or
fine.
delegate?
Yes.
The power to amend the commercial charges to which Section 2623C of the Local Government Act 2009 applies.
Happy to second it, Mr. Mayor.
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Through the chair, just wanting to make sure, just with the fares to the airport, so they're saying excluding the following, so there is no fees in here regarding the airport? And what I was thinking about was,
Oh, as last year. We haven't changed. Yeah, okay. So the fees and charges for the airport are included in here, but they haven't been changed in any way, shape or form from the current year. So they'll be coming through as a separate report from the airport manager.
yep, so we didn't add in, I know we had discussions about that fees, about office spaces and all that sort of stuff. That hasn't been put in this document?
No, that's going to be coming through from the manager.
So when it says excluding the areas that have been and will be presented as a separate reports, it's not all of airport, it's just only those fees subject to that airport?
No, it should be all of the fees and charges with regards to the airport.
Righto, so we're excluding those fees and charges out of this document?
Yep.
Righto, thank you.
Okay, did we have a seconder for that motion?
Yeah, I did, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
McMullen.
Yeah, thank you. Now, does anyone wish to speak to the motion or against? Okay, then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Yes. All those
9-0.
against?
9-0.
9-0, Mr. Mayor.
9-0, thank you. Okay, now, no further business, CEO?
That's correct.
Righto, I'll close the budget meeting at 11:29 a.m. and thank you for your attendance.